So that's just for you to be able to give you an idea of where things are at the moment, because ideally what you're looking for is having all of those areas around the same level. And ideally you want them out here on the outside edge. But what you'll find is if your health is really good and your career is pretty bad and your relationships need work, but they're not too bad, and your spirituality is really good, then what you're going to find is the wheel of your life doesn't turn very well, and it makes for a bumpy ride. So really, for all of us, it's about creating a life that we've got balance in. And it doesn't have to be the perfect life on the outside. It's just got to be a life that works for you, where you're in balance in all the areas of your life. And that's what this work is really about. And that's what co-creation is really about. So I've been doing this work now in co-creation. I started this business 11 years ago. And I'll explain a little bit more about myself and how I got into this. But the first part of this evening, what I'm going to do is discuss about the technique. I'll discuss about how your subconscious mind works, how your conscious mind works, and how you create your reality. The second part of the evening, we're going to do some meditation, we're going to do some healing as well. And so you'll actually get like some hands-on experience, and it's a lot of fun, but it's really powerful healing too. So I started this business 11 years ago after I totally transformed my life. And ever since that day, so 11 years ago, I was diagnosed with vertebral osteomyelitis. It's an infection in the vertebrae, and it's medically incurable. So the doctors basically sent me home to die. And they did everything that they could, and they were fantastic, but ultimately they couldn't help me anymore. And so I went searching. And so I found this technique and I transformed my life. 11 years ago, the doctors told me that if I pick up a shopping bag, it'll collapse my spine. So thankfully today, and a few days after I found this healing process, I went home and picked up my 2-year-old daughter for the first time in almost a year. So I've been able to transform my life, but not just through health, in all the areas of my life. And the thing is you can do it too. What's happened in our lives is we've been suppressed. We've been held back, told that we have limitations, there are things we can and can't do. And that's basically been based on the perception of the people that matter in our lives. So if our parents believed we could do something, they encouraged us. If they believed we were going to get hurt or it was going to end badly, then they tried to discourage us. It wasn't because they disliked us. It was probably based on their own fears. But this is about understanding that you can create whatever you choose to in your life. And ultimately, one of the things that I'll be discussing with you this evening is about owning your life right now. Because however great your life may be today, or however terrible it may be today, it's about owning it. It's about accepting where you're at. And when you do that, you allow yourself to move beyond and move to the most amazing life if you choose to create it. But if you have created a difficult life to this point, then you should be excited right now. Because if you can create it to be so real and so bad, then you can create it to be the complete opposite and make it absolutely amazing. And it'll be real for you as well. Because from a very young age, I was into personal development. I used to do a lot of personal development, coaching, all that sort of stuff. And one of the biggest things that I took from it was understanding that you've got like the really successful people in the world, like somebody like a Bill Gates, for example. Whether you like the guy or not, it's irrelevant. But ultimately, the only difference between any of us and Bill Gates is the way we think. It's all it comes down to. The only thing that separates you from anybody else that you think is amazing is the way you think. And you know what? You can change the way you think. And that's the exciting part of it. So as far as co-creation is concerned, we're here to help people create the most amazing life for themselves. If you're looking to bring in your divine life partner, if you're looking to heal relationships, if you're looking to heal your physical body, if you're looking to heal your finances, whatever it is, that's what this is about. It's about realizing that you can change your circumstances. And when I go through and explain how the conscious and unconscious minds work, you'll actually see it's a lot easier than you think, especially once you start understanding why your life is the way it is. Because everything serves you. There is a benefit to everything that has ever happened to you in your life. And it's happened for a reason. If you don't understand why it served you, what the benefits were, then you'll find you're struggling with that situation. You're struggling to move beyond it. So, how we do it is we actually change our belief systems. We change our subconscious belief systems. So what are our subconscious belief systems? Because we've all heard about our beliefs, and there's many great works out there. There's the work of Dr. Bruce Lipton. Many of you will probably be aware of his work, The Biology of Belief. What are our belief systems? Our belief systems are subconscious rules. That's all they are. On some level, we've been taught that this is a truth, and we have taken it on and programmed it in our minds that this is our truth. And we've owned that as our truth. So you have the example where you have a person walks out the front of the building. As soon as they get out the front, a taxi pulls up. You've got the other person that as soon as they walk out the front of a building, the taxi just drives off. I mean, that's a simple example, but you look at it in all the areas of your life. There are areas where you are creating those situations for yourself. I love this one. I love doing this one in class. So I want you to finish the sentence, right? You don't have to say it out loud, but I want you to recognize, your self-talk, right? So if you were to say, knowing my luck, what happens? So you should be positive in that sense. Knowing my luck, everything always works out. Right? So many people get caught up in this concept of like Murphy's Law and all that sort of stuff. If that's what you're sending out to the universe, it's what you're creating. And that's the scary thing, because our thoughts, words, and actions are that powerful. We are sending them out to the universe, and that is what our subconscious is sending out. So basically what's happening is the thoughts, the images in our mind that we're projecting out to the universe is what we're creating. So how does this happen? How can our thoughts be that powerful? Right? Quantum physics teaches us that everything is energy. If you take this lectern down to the smallest particle, it's moving energy. If you take your physical body down to the smallest particle, it's a moving energy. Everything is made up of energy. Science is teaching us that. So if we're all part of the one energy, then what's happening is we have a thought we're sending out to the universe. It merges with the collective consciousness of that thought. So what this does is it amplifies the thought that you're sending out to the universe. And it comes back to you. So here we have a cause, and here we have an effect. So your life today is basically the effect of what you've been sending out to the universe. Your words, thoughts, actions, and images. So when we look at our belief systems, we're sending our truths out to the universe. Okay, so I've just come back. I've been away for a little while, so I've set the place up without other people using the space. Okay, so our belief systems, work like this. There's 4 levels that we store our belief systems on. The first level is a core level, and that's stored in the frontal lobe of your brain. The frontal lobe of your brain is formed by about the age of 7. It doesn't fully develop until around 21 in females and a little bit older than that in males. But basically, the majority of our belief systems are formed by the age of 7. The Jesuit priests knew about this, and they used to say, give us the children for the first 6 years and then you can have them back. Because they knew that if you trained them in the first 6 years, you would have them for life. They may stray, they may go do whatever they like, but they would always come back to the church. They're very switched on in understanding how the mind works, because children are like sponges. There are 5 different brain waves that we go in and out of on a daily basis. The first one is a delta wave. And the delta wave is 0 to 4 cycles per second. So basically it's almost a flat line. That's what you go into when you're in a deep sleep. When you're in a deep sleep, you're in a delta wave. Has anybody here experienced themselves having the phone ring, and before you even pick it up or before you look at it, you know who's on the other end? Yeah. We've actually done that by accessing a delta wave. The next brain wave is what we call the theta wave. And the theta wave is 4 to 7 cycles per second. So it's a little bit faster, but not much. If you've ever manifested anything in your life, you've done it through a theta wave. So if you've manifested that parking spot out the front, you've done that through a theta wave. If you've woken up in the morning and thought, I'm going to have a shit day today, and you do, you've done that through a theta wave too, right? It's just understanding that this is the wave or the brain wave that you get into when you're creating, when you're manifesting. So as far as quantum physics is concerned, quantum physics talks about everything being energy, then what we're doing is taking our awareness into a theta brain wave where we go into that oneness of all that is. The next brainwave that we go into is what we call an alpha wave. And the alpha is 7 to 14 cycles per second. And so this one now is a little bit faster. And that's the wave that you go into when you're meditating. So a theta wave is like a bridge between a deep sleep and a meditation. So the theta wave is also the wave you go into when you're under hypnosis. And tonight, when we do the meditation and healing, I'll actually talk you up into a theta brainwave. And so you'll be able to see like how quick and easy it is to access. So if you've ever been driving your car, you've gone through 3-4 sets of lights, and all of a sudden you think, hang on a minute, were they green? You've gone into an alpha wave. You could be washing the dishes. You're washing the dishes and all of a sudden it's like, hang on, they're finished. Where was I? Right? So what you've done is you've gone into an alpha wave, you've gone into a meditation where you're standing up, you're aware, or you're driving your car, you're meant to be aware. Right? Some people actually drive much better in an alpha wave. And then the next wave is what we call a beta wave, and that's 14 to 28 cycles per second. And that's when you're awake, you're alert, you're interacting with people. So this here is going much faster. And then the last brainwave that we go into is a gamma state, or a gamma wave, and that's 28 to about 5,000. So this can be like this and then just go ridiculously fast. And so if you've ever been in a position where time has stood still for you, where you're watching everything happen in slow motion, oftentimes if somebody's in an accident or some sort of dangerous situation, you see things happen in slow motion. Or maybe you're seeing, a bottle or a cup falling off a table and you're just watching it happen in slow motion. That's when you've gone into a gamma wave, and that is a really powerful state. If you ever get into that state, all you do is just say, or if it's an unfavourable situation, then just say, no, I don't accept this. But obviously with a lot of energy, like, so it's not like, oh no, I don't accept that. Because you can change your reality. You'll be amazed how powerful that is. I had a couple who came to one of these evenings, and it was really funny because I was telling them the story afterwards because they really didn't believe me. But what happened was he got a phone call from his sister-in-law, and she said, listen, and they live out in the country, and they're a couple of hours drive away from where the rest of the family is, and they got a phone call saying that, listen, your father is really bad. The priest has just given him the last rites, you better come over. And so he turns to his wife, and she's like, oh, and tells her what happened. And as he's telling her what happened, he said, you know what? That guy Mark said, I don't accept this. And he ended up doing that. And then like about 5 minutes later, while they're getting ready, he gets a phone call again. It's his sister-in-law, and she said, look, I don't know what's happened, but don't worry about it. He's okay. So you may think that I'm nuts, and fair enough if you do, because when I first came into this sort of work, I thought everybody was nuts, because I'm like an engineer by trade, and my background is completely opposite to this sort of work. But I thought it was very bizarre, but it is powerful. If you're ever in that situation, you'll be amazed how powerful it can be not to accept something as your reality. That's when you're accessing the gamma wave. So we go in and out of all these brain waves on a daily basis. So the reason why I explain this now is because your belief systems on a core level are everything that you've taken in from the point of conception through till now. So while you're in the womb, if your parents were having relationship issues, and then by the time you were born, they've sorted out their relationship issues, you could be carrying the trauma from their issues while you're in the womb, and you're not understanding why your relationships are the way they are. Maybe it was money issues, maybe it was health issues, whatever it may be. But oftentimes what happens is babies in the womb, if our parents are going through traumatic stuff, and especially our mothers, because we've got a connection through them where they're our life, where they're giving us the life, we can often take on their issues. We can take on their stresses, their disappointments. So whatever's going on for our mothers, oftentimes it's issues that we need to be clearing in our lives today. So the first 2 years of your life, you're in a delta wave. That's a deep sleep state. The next 4 years of your life, you're in a theta state. So the first 6 years of your life, when the majority of your frontal lobe is being formed, you're actually in a semi-conscious state. Children are like sponges. They're just taking all this information in. So what was our environment telling us in the first 6 years of our lives? Were we welcomed as a child? Were our parents overwhelmed with everything else that was going on? Maybe there was a number of other children in the family and they were just too busy, or it seemed that they were too busy for us. What was our welcome? I remember when my wife fell pregnant, we weren't planning it, right? I was in the building industry. I come home from work one day, she comes out, she tells me, oh Mark, I just went to the doctors and I'm pregnant. I said, are you sure? Right? Like, let's get a second opinion, right? It's not that I didn't want to have children, I didn't have that scheduled in my diary, right? I was like, hang on a minute, like it's not computing, right? I can't find it here in my diary. And so we went, and the thing was, the happiest day of my life. But in that moment, it was like, hang on a minute, my brain is not computing. So maybe we could take on that energetically and think, oh, well, maybe our parents didn't love us. It creates all sorts of issues. If you start looking at something, so, when you go home tonight, look for yellow cars, right? All of a sudden, you're going to start finding yellow cars everywhere, right? How many times have you gone and bought yourself a new car? Nobody's got them on the road, and then all of a sudden, everyone's got them, like everyone's copied you. You bring something into your awareness, all of a sudden you start focusing on it, all of a sudden more of it happens. So this is everything from the point of conception through till now. So the majority of your belief systems that are controlling or determining the outcomes in your life came on in those first 6 years. So you were seeing your parents, you were looking at your mother, you were looking at your father, and you were thinking that's how a man should be, that's how a woman should be, that's how a relationship is meant to be. And that's probably why a lot of the times we create those relationships and we think, I can't believe it, I married my mother or I married my father. Because our perception is that's what a man is, that's what a woman is. So the next area that we store our belief systems on is what we call the gene level. And the gene level, if you dissect the brain, almost in the center is a gland called your pineal gland. And inside the pineal gland is your master cell. And inside that is your DNA blueprint. So this is all the stuff that you've been passed down ancestrally. So oftentimes what we do is we look at the negative traits that we have and we think, oh, well, that's my mother's trait, or that's from my father's side, and we resent those things. There's a lot of things to appreciate from our genetic lines. On top of that is you've got like a lot of conditions that are believed to be genetic. And if they are genetic, then that's great. But ultimately, if they are genetic, why doesn't everybody have them? Why doesn't everybody in our family have them? If it is genetic, why is it just a select few? That's because our perception of our environment creates our reality. So you've got somebody that, may have had a couple of relatives have heart attacks or something. And so what they do is they bring on this perception and think, okay, well, there's heart disease in the family. So somebody that you respect, or care about says to you, oh, you better be careful because we've got this in the family. If you didn't like that person, you take it on and think, yeah, stuff that, you can keep that for yourself. Right? But because you like and respect that person, you're more inclined to take on their perception. And they're the sorts of things that happen. So all of a sudden we start thinking, oh, well, I better watch what I'm eating because we've got heart disease in the family. So it's like the yellow cars. All of a sudden we're looking out for things that are going to give us heart disease, or if we have a steak, or if we have something that may not be the ideal thing for your heart, then all of a sudden we're thinking, oh shit, subconsciously I'm going to get heart disease. And so we can actually take on those genes. And if you want to read a great book about that discusses that, there's a book called The Mind Over Medicine by Dr. Lisa Rankin. I think I may have a couple of copies down the back there. But it's a great book because she's a doctor and she talks about the placebo effect and how powerful it is, and how in a lot of cases the actual placebo was more effective than pharmaceutical drugs. And to take it a step further, they've even got operations, like full operations that they've done, where they've done placebo operations for knee replacements. So what they do is they cut the person open exactly how they would do with a knee replacement. For some people, they actually do the knee replacement. The other people, all they do is cut it open and then sew it straight back up. And the majority of people that had the placebo one actually healed quicker than the people that actually had the proper operation done. All that emphasizes is the power of your mind. You have got the most powerful tool on the planet. You can use it to create anything that you choose. Napoleon Hill said it best in the book, Think and Grow Rich. What the mind can conceive, so if you can have an idea and believe, you can achieve. And the key is the faith, believing that it's possible, believing that it's possible for you. That is the most powerful tool that you can have. When you have absolute faith in something, it happens. Every single one of us here in this room have had times in our lives where we've been desperate for something, but our faith has been so high, we've just believed it's going to happen, and sure enough, it happens. It is that powerful. But it's about learning how to do that without needing a crisis, without needing, some sort of negative experience to be happening in order for you to create wonderful things. So your ancestry is beneficial, right? If you go back far enough in your ancestry, you'll find royalty, right? Tap into that energy, right? And start appreciating your ancestry. You'll be amazed how it will change your life. The next area that we look at is what we call the history level. And there's two parts to the history level. The first part is past lives. So intuitively, when we look at past lives, you generally see them over the top of a person's shoulders. Whether you believe in past lives or not is irrelevant. The world, according to Mark, if we are one with all that is, if quantum physics is right and everything is made up of energy and we are a part of all that is, then if that's the truth, then I have access to infinite intelligence. I have access to everything that's ever gone on the planet. I've got access to everything that's going to happen on the planet. And so if there is an aspect of me that is looking through all those archives and thinking, hang on a minute, you've got this issue that you need to deal with right now. And the best way for you to deal with it is seeing yourself being thrown to the lions in ancient Rome. So be it. But then on the other hand, maybe we live those past lives. Either way, it doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is that you're dealing with the issue at hand and moving forward in your life today. That's all that matters. A lot of people get caught up on the story of their past lives. That doesn't serve you. There's no benefit in doing that. It's about recognizing that this has taken place and this is here to help me move forward today. The second part of the history level is group consciousness. There's group consciousness with everything. So I mentioned a couple of things there about like with family and genetic conditions. That's a group consciousness. It's a group consciousness. If you buy into that group consciousness, you can take on that condition. A few years ago, or a number of years ago now, there was that global financial crisis. A lot of businesses struggled. A lot of businesses went bankrupt. But at the same time, a lot of businesses had their best years ever. So how's that possible? If you're reading the newspapers every day, if you're watching the news every day and you're hearing about the doom and gloom, it's very difficult to stay positive. If you're caught up in all that negativity that's happening, very difficult to stay excited about what you're doing. And that's how group consciousness can affect you. Look at yourself with your family. There is a group consciousness about you. Are you the one that always finishes everything that you start? Or are you the one that never finishes anything you start? Are you the one that maybe you're the golden child? Maybe you're the one that everyone does everything for. Or maybe you're the one who has to do everything for everybody else. That's a group consciousness. That's not who you really are. That is a group consciousness, and what you've done is you've taken it on as your truth. You've allowed yourself to believe that that's who you are.
Can I ask a question here? Very important. Supposing you do have, or you want to break through that consciousness, right? And, your mother might have photos of you when she thinks that you're nice, but they might all be photos of when you're unhealthy. Now, that could be her way of witnessing something. So she's witnessing something there. You're trying to witness you being positive and healthy on the other side. How does it work in the environment? So it's like, you want to be with your family and still be healthy. And it's going to be hard if one of them's got the idea of when you're nice, but you're unhealthy. It's like the Munchausen thing. The mother then can feel like she's of value, then she can help the sick child.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that work? That's like,
that's great. Ultimately, it all comes from us. So we're the ones that are creating our reality. So when you change you, when you start sending out a different picture, because at the moment you've got that expectation that she's holding you in that space. When you change your expectation, you allow a completely different outcome.
How do you do that?
So by changing your beliefs around that situation, there's a process that we do. We actually go through and identify where it all started from. Right? Because everything serves you. For everything that happens in your life, there is a benefit to it. Right? So some of you are sitting there thinking, you know what, some of the shit I've been through in my life, you're dreaming, champ, if you think that, you know, like it serves me. Right? And I'm with you on that, but ultimately, regardless of how bad or how ugly that situation was, if you look into it, you'll find that there have been positives that you've taken from that situation. Now, this is not about leaving ourselves vulnerable. When you allow yourself to grow beyond a situation, what you're doing is setting up a protection around yourself so it's never going to happen again. Right? So in that situation, when you set up that protection around yourself, when you see a healthy picture of yourself, then what's going to happen is everybody else around you is going to react differently to you because you're giving off a completely different energy. And that's how everybody around you changes. You'll be amazed how powerful it is.
Yeah, I've noticed certain things better, but how long does it take? It's still like a push and pull you thing, isn't it? It's like you're trying all this stuff, positivity, and yes, you can see, but it's still like a boulder. There's still a heavy boulder you have to keep pushing up all the time, though, eh?
Cancel that. If you have a negative thought, cancel that, right? Just, you know, like we're sending that energy out to the universe, like cancel it if it's negative, right? But the thing is some things you're going to find you need to work on. Other things are just going to change like that, right? I'll give you an example. When I was in the early days of teaching these classes and doing this work, like I did a lot of work on myself. I mean, I was half dead. And then all of a sudden I was completely healed. So I had this massive transformation. So I was doing all these other healings on myself in other areas of my life. And one particular day I was at this venue that we were using, just on Willoughby Road there. And I walked into the kitchen. Well, I didn't walk in there. I put my hand around into the kitchen to turn the light switch on for the hallway or something without going in there and looking. And all of a sudden, like this massive noise happened. And it sounded like, you know, like you've started up some sort of massive motor. And in that moment, I was like, oh, okay, what's going on here? And I had a look at it. It was like the after hours air conditioner. But that was really profound. And the reason why it was really profound is because in the past, if I had done something like that, it would have been straight away, you idiot, what have you done? What have you stuffed up now? Right? I would have been the first one beating myself up over that situation. And it was really profound because all of a sudden I found myself rising above a situation. And that was really powerful because, and I was aware of it, but this was not something that I'd actually worked on. It just changed. Because of all the other things that I was doing, all the other healings I was doing, this had just changed on its own. But it was really profound because up until that point, I'd always found reasons to punish myself, to put myself down. And so what you're going to find is some things will change just like that. And then there's other things that you may need to work on because the lesson that you're here to take from that situation, you're not ready to see it yet. And so it may take a little bit of time in order to allow you to grow so you can step beyond it. And that's all it comes down to. People talk about manifesting stuff, and I love it because manifesting is a wonderful subject, and because it ties so closely with quantum physics, like I'm really passionate about that area. But generally what happens, and I'm sidetracking for a moment, but generally what happens is this is where you are today. Because we're all energy. And this is the level that we're vibrating at. So the energy that you're vibrating at is here. Your health, your relationships, your money, family, all the aspects of your life are resonating at this level. So if you have any health conditions, they're resonating at this level. Let's say, for example, this is what you're manifesting. So all the things that you're manifesting, your health, your relationships, your money, whatever other aspects of your life you're manifesting, they're all there. And so what happens is people get all really flustered and frustrated and angry and disappointed because it's just not happening yet. Let me tell you why it's not happening. Because people are here today, and what they're actually trying to do is bring their manifestation into themselves today. It doesn't work that way. For your manifestation to come in, you need to step up. You need to become the person who is healthy. Do you think like a healthy person right now? Do you eat the foods that a healthy person would? Do you associate with people that are going to help you grow mentally, that are going to allow you to bring in more abundance in your life? Do you read books, magazines, audiobooks that are going to help you be positive? Or are you reading stuff that is going to depress you? So that's the problem is today most people are trying to bring their manifestations down to where they're at today. It doesn't work. It's about you stepping up. It's about you becoming that person who has all those things. And it is really simple. Because once you get started, it is easy and it's exciting. But if you don't know why you're doing it, it's all too hard. If there is not a big enough reason why, it's hard work. So these are 3 levels that we store our belief systems on. The 4th level that we store our belief systems on is our soul level. And the soul level is all the deep trauma stuff. The death of a loved one, those heartbreaks in those relationship breakups, etc. All the deep trauma. And generally when you're working with a person and tears start flowing, you know you're getting into the soul level stuff. So there's 4 areas that we store our belief systems on. So over here, the core level, you can change the core level beliefs just by doing affirmations. Affirmations are powerful, and they will change your beliefs on a core level. This is a problem though. If you've got the belief of saying, I am sad, on the core level, on a gene level, and on the history level, then you go through and you do affirmations. For example, I am happy. Then what happens is you bring I am happy into there. And maybe you change I am sad. And so it's gone from there. But then all of a sudden it's still on a gene level and it's still on the history level. So what's going to happen? It's just going to recreate itself. So that's why these belief systems come back. But when we change it with this technique, we're changing it on all 4 levels at once. And so it's actually a really powerful shift. Right? And then we're downloading I am happy on all these levels. All of a sudden it's allowing you to experience it. But the other part of our belief systems that's really powerful is feelings. You can tell yourself that you're happy all day long. But if you don't know what it feels like to be happy, it doesn't really mean much. So this here is a cell inside your body. And we all have trillions of cells. This here is a receptor. Everything outside of this cell is our environment. So this is love. This is sadness. and this here is happiness. So as far as this person is concerned, the only thing that's in their environment is sadness. So it doesn't matter what they do, there's always sadness associated with it. So life's really tough. There's love and there's happiness in their environment, but there is no receptor. So as far as this person is concerned, there is no love, there is no happiness. Doesn't matter how much love you give this person, they're not feeling it. You ever known anybody like that? You're just constantly giving them love, showing them love, and it's like a brick wall. That's because they don't know what it feels like. So what happens is we change the belief to I am happy. And then what we do is we teach them what it feels like to be happy. That it's safe for them to be happy, that it's possible for them to be happy. You know, one of the biggest things that stops people from being happy is if you look back through your life, oftentimes you've gotten really, really happy and things are going great. And then all of a sudden something bad happens. If you look back through your life, some of your best moments, they may be followed by something that wasn't great. And so what that does is it builds trauma in the subconscious. And the subconscious thinks, you know what, every time we get happy like that, something really crappy happens. So if we don't allow ourselves to get that happy, we're going to be safe. So let's just allow our happiness to get to this level. But basically over here, we're sending out a message to the environment and we're saying, hey, whatever sadness is out there, bring it to me. If we teach this person what love feels like, teach them what happiness feels like, what we're doing is we're opening up a new receptor. We're allowing them to have that experience. So all of a sudden, their life has changed, hasn't it? All of a sudden now there's love, there's sadness, and there's happiness. But what's changed? The only thing that's changed is the cell itself, or the person themselves. The environment is still exactly the same. If you look at your life and think of everything that's missing in your life today, it's already there. On some level, we are not allowing ourselves to experience it. That's all it is. It's not that we're missing out and the universe is trying to harm us or holding us back or punishing us in some way. It is that on some level we have perceived that it is actually more dangerous to have that than it is not to. And I'll go through and give you some examples and draw it out a little bit more in more detail. But there is a book called The Tipping Point by Malcolm Gladwell. And in that book, he goes through and explains different examples to show you that things are not a coincidence. There is one example that he has in that book where he takes a photo of Pitt Street in the city, peak hour lunchtime, people everywhere. And he takes that picture to a jail and shows it to 50 murderers and rapists. And he says to those people, which one person in this picture would you attack? And 49 out of the 50 picked exactly the same person. So what that's saying is this person is sending out a message to the universe saying, I'm a victim. These perpetrators have got a belief system, they need a victim. And so they look at this picture, and even though there's thousands of people there in this picture, it's like this person has got like this huge red flag or target that they're waving above their head saying, hey, pick me. There is no coincidence with the people that you're bringing into your life. If you look at your relationships, is there a pattern there? Is it a similar type of person that you're bringing in? Like, you know, it's the same old story, like they just look a little bit different every time. Or you look at your work. the jobs that you're getting into, is it a pattern there with the way you're treated? There's no coincidence. And that's where I talk about owning our lives. That's where I talk about owning where your life is at today, with all the things that have gone on in your life, all the mistakes you believe you've made. Owning them and saying, okay, this is where I'm at. But then taking positive steps to create something amazing. Because I don't believe anybody here in this room chose to come down and experience this physical life just to be average. You know, I don't think you're up there thinking, oh, you know what, I might just come down and just fit in with everyone else, just be another follower. I don't believe that. I believe every one of us has come here to achieve an amazing purpose. But you got to start. You got to start somewhere, and you got to start soon. And that's what's really important, because when you have a tool, when you have something that can help you do something, when you have something that is going to give you tangible change, it's a lot easier because you're empowered. See, one of the things for me, and at the age of 21, I meet this girl. And I thought she was a weirdo, right? She was into all this spirituality stuff. And I told her, I said, I think you're a weirdo. And she didn't like that, right? She said, well, if you don't like it, see you later. I thought, oh, like, she's a nice girl. Maybe I should have a look at what she's doing, right? And so we started doing this parapsychology course, and one of the first things they talked about was gut feelings. So all of a sudden, these alarm bells start ringing in my head, because I was brought up Catholic, going to church every Sunday, and that sort of thing. And then all of a sudden, these weirdos are talking about these gut feelings. And you know what? I'd experienced those gut feelings. I had no idea where they came from, had no idea what they were about, but I just knew when I got those gut feelings, I had to trust them. It was amazing, because all of a sudden on that day, I thought, I need to find out about this. And so I started researching and looking into everything. And for 11 years, I looked at everything. Any courses that would come out. So Teresa was the weirdo, right? So I married her. So we have a joke today that I don't know who the bigger weirdo is, right? But the thing is for 11 years, we researched everything. Any speaker that was coming to Australia, anything that was out there in books, you had to see our library. It is ridiculous. We would spend, honestly, on average, about $20,000 a year on personal development and spiritual development. But there was always something missing. There was always something missing. There was always that little something that, at the end of the weekend, it was like, yeah, I feel great. You put the books under the bed and you never look at them again, right? The missing link was this. When I found theta healing, the missing link was this. It was that it was simple. Because if quantum physics is right, and we are all part of the one energy, if that's the case, then any change has to be simple. It can't be some drawn out process. It's not like, I've got to go sit in the corner or stand on the corner on my head and spin around 30 times before the change will sink in. Like, sometimes I feel like I'm that thick and maybe need that sort of process, but it's got to be simple. If this is real, it has to be simple. And that was the key for me. It was the simplicity, because if you're going to make a change, it's got to be easy. It doesn't have to be some drawn out process. It doesn't have to be something that I need to be doing this for 50 years before I can understand it and before it'll work for me. It's not the way it works. A lot of the times people freak out at how simple the changes are. And it scares them. You know why it scares us? Because the biggest fear that most people have is the fear of success. The fear of things actually working out for us and becoming successful. It's not about failure. Because you know what? If you're going to succeed at anything, you're going to fail a number of times. But the key is having something that allows you to be empowered in your life, something that tells you that, okay, if an issue happens in my life, I can deal with it. That's what it comes down to. So we have our belief systems. And then we have the receptors in our cells that are sending out these messages to the universe.
I was just going to ask you that. So if an issue happens in your life, you can deal with it, right? So all that stuff, what you said, if you learn all that stuff and you get all the triangles and squares and whatever, and then you get it down for when you have success, because I imagine that's a common theme, isn't it? When you're going well, sometimes something bad happens.
Yeah.
And if you're in a negative situation, you might think, oh, I'm not going to try and be positive because I get negativity, right? But I guess if you've done all that work on yourself, then you just look at it like, oh, well, whatever comes, you can deal with it. That's the theory, right? That's the whole thing.
Basically, because there's always going to be stuff that happens in your life. As long as you are interacting with people, there's always going to be stuff that happens. Like, I often tell people, like, you know what, it'd be great to go and sit in a cave and meditate, like just in silence, you know, for the rest of my life and become enlightened that way. But I don't believe that's the real way to get enlightened. For me personally, right, get married, have kids, interact with people, and stay calm, that's enlightenment, right? Because seriously, like, there's always going to be triggers coming up for you when you're interacting with people. No two people are 100% alike. And so there's always going to be things that you disagree with. There's always stuff that comes up in our lives. And for me personally, I believe the day that you've mastered everything, the day that you've healed all your issues, is when you're ready to check out. Because you've achieved everything. Right? This is a journey. We're here. And look, Vienna has a saying, right? And I love it. It's one of my favorite sayings. Your soul is having a ball. It's just the physical that chucks a tantrum. Right? And that's all it comes down to. So all these traumatic experiences that we go through in our lives, we're learning lessons. Right? So let me put it all together for you. Your conscious mind. So this is the one where you're meant to be in control of the show. You're running the show that we call our life, or your life. Your conscious mind reads information at 40 bits per second. Your subconscious mind reads information at 40 million bits per second. So by the time you've opened up the newspaper, your subconscious mind has read the whole thing. Have you ever opened up a book and looked and thought, hang on a minute, there was something here. What was it over here that I was drawn to? And then you're looking for this thing. That's because your subconscious mind has already read it. It knows all your values. It knows all your belief systems. It knows what's important to you. And then the conscious mind is playing catch up, trying to work out what it was that your subconscious mind saw. Lucky I don't need my notes, I've just mixed them all. So this is like a supercomputer. Here's what's even, you can look at it two ways. It's either more exciting or scarier. Your subconscious mind is running the show 95% of the time. So that means your conscious mind is in control 5% of the time. That's why you find yourself reacting to things. When you react to people, when you react to situations, that's your subconscious mind working. So here's an example of how it works. Little Johnny's at school. He's 5 years old. The teacher walks in and says, "Oh, Johnny, you're too slow." Johnny, with a 5-year-old perception, takes it on board and thinks, "Oh, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I can't do anything right." 30 years later, Johnny's in the workforce. His boss walks in and says, "Oh, Johnny, you're too slow." Johnny's a lot older now. So what does Johnny do? He reacts. And the reason why he reacts is because this supercomputer has gone through this filing cabinet we call the brain, looked for the file that says too slow, pulled it out and it says, "You're dumb, you're stupid, you can't do anything right." So Johnny's reacted. He's told his boss to stick his job or gotten upset with him. That's a reaction to the perception of a 5-year-old. So let's say, for example, if we change this belief, we healed that situation, that trauma that happened back at that time. So what happens is Johnny's boss walks in and says, "Are you too slow?" His supercomputer scans through this filing cabinet, doesn't find the file. And so what happens is Johnny turns around to his boss and says, "Oh, I had a long lunch today, I'll work back this afternoon." Or he turns around and says, "You know what, I'm not feeling really well today. Can you give me a hand?" So you look at those interactions that you have with the people that you're close to. How often is it that you're reacting to them? You know, people talk about like their soulmates and their divine life partner being, such a big deal. If you look at the relationships that you've had, some of the things that you've broken up with people over, right? What happens is you come home from work one day, you're tired, and you're needing some love, right? You just need somebody to be there for you emotionally. Just to say, "Hey, babe, you're doing great," just hang in there. But you come home and you see your partner and you say, "Oh, yeah," you come and talk to them, and they're like, no, not now, I'm busy, the footy's on, or the ballet's on, or, days of our lives, right? Whatever it may be, and so they don't have time for you. So subconsciously we take that on and think, "You know what, they don't love me. No big deal, we move on." So then all of a sudden, the next time it's your birthday. And what happens is they forget to wish you a happy birthday first thing in the morning. It gets to lunchtime and all of a sudden you get this phone call. And they're like, "Oh, happy birthday, babe." I didn't forget, I was just, testing you to see whether but you don't believe it. Right? So all of a sudden you're thinking, "You know what, they don't love me. This person doesn't care." And all these other little things happen, right? And then the deal breaker. The deal breaker happens. You know what? You go into the bathroom and they've squeezed the toothpaste in the middle. It's just unforgivable. And all of a sudden it's all over. But the thing is, you don't care about the toothpaste. You can buy 2 toothpastes, yours and theirs, who cares? Or you can get the toothbrushes that don't need toothpaste. There's plenty of solutions, but you know what? Little things like that become major things. And it's not because of that, it's because of everything else that's gone on before it. If you start thinking, "Oh, they don't love me," you look for more of those reasons, like the yellow car. All of a sudden you're looking for proof of that situation. And this is how your subconscious mind works. Your subconscious mind always says yes. Always. The universe always says yes to you. So you're having that thought, you're thinking, "Oh, I'm not good enough to have a partner." The subconscious mind is like, "Really? Okay." That's how it works. It doesn't care. It doesn't judge things as good or bad. On a higher plane, there is no judgment. There is no good or bad. Everything just is. It's us that judge the situations as good or bad. But the subconscious mind doesn't care, because you know what, on a soul level, your soul's having a ball. It's learning everything that it needs to. So on top of this, we have 60,000 thoughts in a day on average. Many of those are repetitive. I don't know about you, but like, I don't think I get close to 60,000 thoughts in a day. But let's say that's right. So there's about 3,000 thoughts that we're meant to be consciously sending out. So 57,000 are thoughts that our subconscious mind is sending out. So if we've got a belief in there that I'm not good enough, or we've got a belief in there that, you know, all the good partners are taken, then it's constantly sending that message out to the universe and keeps drawing to us the people that are crap. So on a day-to-day basis, we're creating our reality. So here's the big part of your subconscious mind. We have love and we have fear. So you get into a relationship. And you know what happens when you first get into a relationship, right? The sun shines out of there. So it doesn't matter what they do. You look at them and, like, you know, they smile and you think, oh my God, like, their smile is just incredible, right? They're taking me out for dinner. They're looking after me, like, you know, they're just so caring. They're loving. So it's all these positives. And then what happens is you come home from work and you're tired and, you know, that story. And they're not there for you. And then they're squeezing the toothpaste in the middle, or they're leaving the toilet seat up or down, whatever upsets you the most. And then what happens is they're not cleaning the dishes after themselves, they're not remembering your birthday, they're not remembering your anniversary. They only bought you half a carat diamond ring. All of a sudden what's happened is we've got this perception of being in a relationship. And yes, there are positives in being in a relationship, but there are actually more negatives now. So what the subconscious does to protect you is to avoid pain, avoid negative situations. So your subconscious mind will do more to avoid pain than it will to receive love. So if it believes being in a relationship is going to be more painful than being single, then get it. It's going to do everything it can to avoid being in a relationship. So your divine life partner is there, they're at the coffee shop, but what it does is makes you double check your makeup before you go out, right? Or make you change your jacket before you go out, and so that way when you get to the coffee shop, they would have just left, right? So it's keeping you close to them, but it's doing everything it can to avoid it. So what happens is you change this misperception. All of a sudden you're arriving at the coffee shop together at the same time and you're bumping into each other. Because the universe does everything it can to take care of you. It is doing this to keep you safe, but there is a misperception that if you have it, you'll be unsafe. So some of this perception may have come from seeing our parents in their relationships, or seeing other people around us in their relationships. One of the first things I ask people when I'm working with people one-on-one is, when it comes to relationships is, okay, well, how many people do you know that are actually happy in a relationship? A lot of the times they struggle to think of people that they know that are actually really happy. And so your subconscious mind is sitting there thinking, are you serious? Look how unhappy they are. You want me to be like, make you like that? Like, really? You know? And so what's happening here is the subconscious mind is like, okay, well, you know, I can come home at the end of a day's work. I can do whatever I like. I can lay down on the couch naked. I can, you know, make something to eat. I can just go straight to sleep. I can do whatever I like. If I don't feel like cooking, I can just go out and grab something to eat, or I can order something in. All of a sudden you're in a relationship, it's like you're coming home and you can't leave your clothes lying around. They're expecting you to make them dinner, or you're going to have to wash up, and like, you know what, you don't feel like doing that sort of stuff. All of a sudden now you've got to be answering to somebody. All of a sudden now you're going to be asking them what they want to be doing. Your subconscious mind is sitting there thinking, you know what, you can get as frustrated as you like right now, but there's no way I'm giving up my independence. Right? This is awesome. They're the sorts of things that you need to change in order to allow yourself to have that amazing relationship, because I believe everybody can have the most amazing relationship. Biggest mistake a lot of people make that are already in relationships is they don't talk to their partners enough to know that they're actually with their right partner. All this stuff builds up over time. The longer you're with somebody, the more reasons you have on both sides. It's just making sure that you don't have a misperception there of thinking that love is painful or love is wrong. But it is very common for people to have those sorts of misperceptions. So you're telling a person, I'm going to download this feeling for you of knowing what it feels like to be loved. And this person has got this perception that love is a bad thing. Their subconscious mind is going to fight you. But what we can do is have a higher perspective on love. When you have a higher perspective on love, it changes everything. So let's say, for example, you're in a relationship. You're constantly giving this person love. You're doing everything you can to give them love. So let's say your definition of love is tomato sauce. So you're sending this person tomato sauce. You're constantly giving them tomato sauce. Their definition of love is barbecue sauce. So they're waiting to receive this barbecue sauce. And it's not there. All they're getting is all this tomato sauce, and it's just making a mess. So they're sending back to you barbecue sauce, because that's love, right? They're sending you all this barbecue sauce, and you're sitting there thinking, well, this is just hard work because it doesn't matter how much I give, I'm not getting anything back. And that's, in a lot of relationships, the biggest problem is people have a different perception of what love is. But you can actually download these feelings. It's one of the feelings that we'll download tonight. So with tonight, what I'm going to do is talk you up into a theta state. I'm going to talk you through a meditation process. So it's actually going into a theta state. So it's a meditation process. So you go through and go through all these white lights, and then we're going to go through some jelly and go into this pearl iridescent light. So if you're anything like me, when I first started doing this work, I was sitting there doing this meditation, and I was saying, guys, go through all the white lights. And all I could think of was what white lights. I couldn't see a thing, and it was a real stress for me. And so basically, when I first started doing this, I was about as intuitive as a door. And over the years with practice, I've opened up my intuition today, and my intuition is amazing. When I see past lives, it's like I'm watching TV. Your intuition is like a muscle. The more you work that muscle, the stronger it gets. The more you work with your intuition, the more you build your intuition, the more amazing your life will be. You look at the most successful people, oftentimes they're working purely off intuition. They obviously, do their homework on making decisions and stuff, but ultimately they're not taking a week to make a choice. They're getting in there and they're using their intuition and they're trusting their judgment. They're believing in the outcome. So working with your intuition is really powerful. So we're going to go up into a theta state. And then what we're going to do is download some feelings. So I'm going to do some healing for you. Right? And then what we're going to do is a manifestation as well. Right. So the first thing that we're going to do is do a little bit of muscle testing. Are you familiar with muscle testing? Kinesiology. So this is a really basic form of muscle testing that we're going to do. And what this is to test what your subconscious believes. So it's not about what you consciously believe, it's about what your subconscious believes. So the way that we're going to do it is we're going to use our body as a pendulum. And all you do is just relax, your feet just shoulder length apart basically. And if you just say yes and see which way your body moves, my body moves forward. And so now if I say no, my body moves backwards. So what we're going to do is we're all going to practice this ourselves. So you all stand up. So I'd like you to say yes and see which way your body moves. So yes.
Yes.
And now say no.
No. No.
Did you find yourself moving in a different direction?
Yeah.
Did anybody not move at all? If you've got some water there, drink a little bit of water because hydration is really important when it comes to muscle testing. So if you have some water there, grab some water. Otherwise, there's some water out the front. That's excellent.
What a dehydrated food.
You'll be amazed. Dehydration is like a really big issue these days as far as health is concerned. You know, one of the main reasons for obesity is people do not know the difference between being hungry and being thirsty. So oftentimes people think their hunger pains are for food when it's actually the body crying out for water. So one of the things that I do, because I travel a lot internationally, is I'll always keep, hydrolyte, so electrolytes. There's a ethical nutrients one called Rehydrate. Ethical nutrients is like the generic brand for, or the off-the-shelf brand for Metagenics. So it's actually a high quality. And I'll have that regularly. You'll be amazed how good you feel when you're hydrated properly. It is really powerful. The other thing you can do is just tap on your kidneys. So if you remember, going running back in the days, and when you get really tired, you're crouching over and you got your hands on your back there. That's because you subconsciously know that your kidneys are what hydrates you. So you tap your kidneys. That'll help you get hydrated as well.
Excuse me.
So now if we try that again, if you all just say yes and see which way your body moves.
Yes.
just say no.
No.
Mark, do most people go forward on the yes?
You're meant to, but the thing is, as long as it's consistent, as long as you're getting a consistent response, if you're going sideways and then backwards, that's okay, as long as it's consistent with the next one. So the next thing that we're going to do, because we want to check consistency, is we've recognized what a yes is for us. The next one that we're going to do is we're going to say our name. And sometimes you may need to say your name that's actually on your birth certificate. So some people change their names. If you're muscle testing no for that one, try the one that's actually on your birth certificate. So for me, it'll be my name is Mark. Right? So if you all just say what your name is, so my name is. So,
My name is Carol.
okay, and now if you all just say my name is Mark, unless your name is Mark.
My name is Mark.
So we're getting consistent responses. This is a real cool party trick, right? So this is an important one. I know what unconditional love feels like.
I know what unconditional love feels like.
So that should be a yes, right? Were there any no's out there? Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do, and this is how quick it is, I'm going to go up into a theta state. So I'm just going through that meditation, and then I'm just making the command to change it for whoever needed to change it, so whoever it was a no for. And then I'm just witnessing the change take place. So now, if we muscle test that one again, I know what unconditional love feels like.
I know what unconditional love feels like.
So has that changed now? I know how to receive a healing from a man.
I know how to receive a healing from a man.
So before we look at that one, let's go to the next one. I know how to receive a healing from a woman.
I know how to receive a healing from a woman.
So are there any no's there for either of those two? Cool. So if you had a no for that one, you'll probably find that all the healings that you've received from males or females haven't been as effective as you expected them to be, because you're blocking yourself to receive that healing from that person. So we'll go through and change those for anybody that needs to. So same process again, going up into a theta state, just commanding the change and then witnessing. Okay, so now if we test that one again, I know how to receive a healing from a man.
I know how to receive a healing from a man.
Are we all okay with that one? I know how to receive a healing from a woman.
I know how to receive a healing from a woman.
All okay with that one? So let's say, for example, somebody still had a no on that one, then I would actually change it again. If it didn't change the second time, then it just tells us there's a deeper issue that we need to identify. And there's another process that we go through on identifying what's underneath it. Here's a good one. I know what it feels like to love myself.
I know what it feels like to love myself.
So for anyone that got a no there, what we'll do is actually go through and change it. Okay. So if we test that one again, I know what it feels like to love myself.
I know what it feels like to love myself.
We all okay with that one now? Yeah. Okay. I allow myself to be loved by my partner.
I allow myself to be loved by my partner.
So let's just change that for anyone that got to know. Okay, I allow myself to be loved by my partner.
I allow myself to be loved by my partner.
Are we all okay with that one now? I know the difference between my energy and my partner's energy.
I know the difference between my energy and my partner's energy.
So it should be a yes. Any no's? Okay, cool. So what you'll find is you probably get home and you're taking on all their stuff and you don't understand why. And so even if you're not in a relationship, if subconsciously you're still attached to one of your previous partners and they're having a bad day, you could be taking on their stuff. So what we'll do is change that for you. And so for anybody that got a yes for that, anybody that got a no for that, what we'll do is just disconnect you from all your previous partners. Okay. Okay, so if we just try that one again. I know the difference between my energy and my partner's energy.
I know the difference between my energy and my partner's energy.
Are we all okay with that one now? Any no's? No? Okay. I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy.
I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy.
So if there's any no's there, we'll change those for you. Change that. Okay, so if you just test that again now, I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy.
I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy.
Okay, cool. So what we'll do is we'll just change that again. Anyone else get no on that one? Second one. Okay, so we'll just change that again. Okay. So let's try that again now. I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy.
I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy.
Still on that? Okay, cool. So it just tells us that there's something deeper there that we need to identify. And you know what? That's one of the biggest issues for most people is boundaries. Having boundaries with other people, feeling obligated to help people, feeling obligated to save people.
I got a strong yes first time, a weak yes the second time, and absolutely no response the third time.
Okay, so I would check your hydration and I'll probably just have a little bit of water. And then before I do any other muscle testing, what I do is test the yes and no again, just to make sure that you're testing properly. So if you want to just test that for yourself now, the yes and no, just to make sure you get a good response. So how about we just do a couple of downloads there, or we'll just go through a download. So I teach you that it's possible to have boundaries, that it's possible for you to have boundaries with people that you care about, so that you can help them without having to take on their negativity, their stress, their issues, right? Because oftentimes what we're doing is just trying to save everybody around us. It's just common, like being empathic, and everybody's empathic. We all feel other people's energies. It's knowing that you can have boundaries to that, knowing how to recognize what's your energy and what's other people's energy, and knowing that you can help people without taking on their energy. Is that okay? You happy to receive those? Yes. Okay, and we'll just teach you how to live without having to save the world. Okay, so if you guys have got a no there, if you want to test it again, I know the difference between my energy and other people's energy. It's better now? Yeah. So all it is identifying what else is there, what else is around it. Right? And then you get the change. Okay, so I know what it feels like to be abundant.
I know what it feels like to be abundant.
So we better change that one for anyone that got to know. Okay, so let's test that one again now. I know what it feels like to be abundant.
I know what it feels like to be abundant.
We all okay with that one?
Well, it's a lot easier saying I know what it feels like rather than I am abundant. If you tried that, it might be slightly different.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'd imagine there's a few issues you probably need to deal with to be abundant. So the thing is, the first step is feeling it. The first step is being able to feel it, because once you know what it feels like to be abundant, all of a sudden you start allowing yourself to remember experiences where you have been abundant. And when you start remembering those experiences, all of a sudden it's easier to take that with you moving forward. Right? And that's one of the keys, is like, just allowing yourself to remember how much abundance you really do have in your life. I know what it feels like to have a positive relationship with money.
I know what it feels like to have a positive relationship with money.
Okay, so before we change that one, I want to test one more. I resent money.
I resent money.
So it should be a no. If you got a yes for that one, like, that's probably a good sign as to why it's avoiding you. Right? So what we're going to do is just give you discernment on that, teacher. The money is just an energy. Money is neither good or bad. It's just a form of exchange. So it's whoever is holding the money that makes it good or bad. So it's got nothing to do with the money itself. So we'll just do those downloads and then we'll see how we go, because resenting money is a big one. Okay, so let's test the first one first. I know what it feels like to have a healthy relationship with money.
I know what it feels like to have a healthy relationship with money.
We all okay with that one? No. So I'll just do it again for anyone else who doesn't know. So just try that again. I know what it feels like to have a healthy relationship with money.
I know what it feels like to have a healthy relationship with money.
Is that better? Okay, and I resent.
Sorry,
Yeah.
what are we doing in the meantime before we're saying the words? What are we downloading? What are we thinking?
I'm downloading it for you. You're just relaxing.
We're just relaxing, aren't
Yeah,
we? I'm
yeah.
thinking, did I miss something?
Yeah. No, perfect. Okay, so we'll try that one again. I resent money.
I resent money.
Is that better?
Nothing happened.
It's much better than a yes. Right, so we're getting some.
We made some progress.
Definitely some progress. I will just download that again for you. So if you got a no for that one, then that's cool. Take a seat. Actually, don't take a seat yet, right? So we'll just change it again. But you don't need to test it again. If you got a no for it, then there's no stress.
I'm showing people that hate capitalism. Look at the American system. Oh my God.
Let's not go there. So if you got a
Well, I'm American, so.
okay, so if you got a yes for that one, let's test it again. I resent money.
I resent money. A little bit, yeah.
Still there. So there's just obviously a little bit more. So take a seat. So I'll give you a little really brief story about what happened to me. One of the reasons why I got sick and created my illness was my father died when I was 16. I felt unsupported. And so what happened was over the years, I used to tell people that, like there was so much more he had to teach me and stuff. And one of the reasons why he died was because he was miserable in the life that he'd had. He'd had like some successful businesses, and then he'd had some misfortune in business, and he actually went back and started working in a factory just to provide for the family. And I know that like that really broke his heart, you know, all the failure that he had with a particular business, because it was great. It was a great business, and he actually got ripped off, you could say. And so for me, unconsciously, I took it on that, you know, the only reason why he died was because he was making money to look after the family. And so subconsciously, I took on a resentment towards money because I believed it killed my father. Right? And so that's why I was resenting money. So it's about identifying what the resentment is there. And so there's a deeper issue. It's not a big deal because you'll be able to work out what it is. Right? And I can chat with you afterwards about that sort of stuff as well. But just that's how quick and easy the changes can be. So you're doing these downloads, you're opening up new receptors, you're allowing new experiences to happen in your life. You're allowing yourself to remember all the times in your life where things have been good, where you have been loved. All of a sudden now you'll be able to interact with people without feeling overwhelmed. You walk into a room, all of a sudden you're feeling angry. You don't know why, and you don't realize until, 5 minutes later, I don't know why I'm so angry, but I'm angry anyway. It's the energy of everybody else that you've taken on. So once you've got boundaries, once you're recognizing that, hey, hang on a minute, this is not my stuff, you're allowing yourself to be present. So what we'll do is we'll have a short break, so grab some water, go to the bathroom if you need to, right? So 5 minutes, and then when you come back, what I'm going to do is talk you up into a theta state. I'm going to talk you through, we'll do a little bit more healing like we just did then, but we'll just do downloads. And then what we're going to do is a manifestation and show you how powerful this really is. Okay, so just have a bit of a stretch, give yourself 5 minutes. So at 1:45, I'm going to start talking everybody back into a theta state. Okay, so if you want to take your seat so we can do the meditation. So I'm going to talk you up into a theta state. It is just a meditation process. So just relax. If you don't see the white lights, it's okay. You'll still get there. You've been getting there every day of your life. It's just doing it consciously now. So it's not something that you've never done before. It's just consciously doing it, because this is not about doing something that you've never done before. This is about remembering what you already know. And that's the key with this work, is because you came here for greatness. You've come here to achieve amazing things, and it's about having the tools that can help you get there and help you do it quickly and easily, because that's the key, is doing things quickly and easily. So I'm going to talk you up into a theta state, and then I'm going to talk you through a command to send you and everybody else and anybody you know that can do with some healing, some unconditional love. And then once we've done that, what we're going to do is a manifestation. So when it comes to manifesting, it's about having a number of things in your mind that you're looking to manifest. Because if you've got the supercomputer of supercomputers and you're just manifesting for one thing, then what your subconscious mind is going to do is get you close to it, but never allow you to really get it. Because the last thing it wants to be doing is sitting idle. So when you've got a whole big list of things that you're here to achieve or you're looking to achieve, the subconscious mind gets busy and it's excited because it's achieving these things and it knows that there's more to achieve. If your one purpose in life is to heal your body, you're going to find that it'll be frustrating because the subconscious doesn't want to complete the job. If it completes the job, then what? The three big things as far as healing anything in your life. Number one is identifying what the real issue is. I had a lady who had a fear of spiders. We worked on her fear of spiders, and it actually got down to a situation when she was about 5 or 6 years old. She was in primary school and she had to stand up in front of the class and present something, and she just got tongue-tied and everybody laughed at her, right? And the reason why that was such a big deal at this particular time is because she's just started a new job where she has to present in front of her colleagues. And so all of a sudden this fear of spiders is the biggest issue in the world. And we deal with it, and it actually helps her in her job. So the thing is what's really going on, what the real issue is, as opposed to the presenting issue. And then number two is looking how it benefits you or how it serves you. Because everything serves us. And then the third thing and this is a really big one. What's next? So once you've achieved it, what's next? There has to be a greater purpose behind everything. There has to be something else that you're looking at creating. Your subconscious mind loves to be busy. So when it comes to healing issues or dealing with people, these are the three big things that we're looking at. We're identifying what the real issue is. What's really going on underneath it all. Because that lady had a fear of spiders, but that wasn't the real issue. The real issue was about public speaking, speaking in front of audiences, being ridiculed for it as a child. And once we healed that, all of a sudden she'd never fear of spiders anymore. And then the benefits, how it serves us.
Excuse me, sorry, with the fear of spiders example, how does she get the fear of spiders if it's not related? Like, you know, when someone actually has an experience with a spider, then they have that fear of spiders. But if she's presenting, how is the spiders coming to?
So what it is obviously she did have a fear of spiders, but the most important thing that's going on for you in your life at the moment, the most important thing that needs to be healed, right, attaches itself to whatever is consciously the biggest issue for you. Because it is what is ready to be dealt with. So it's looking to be dealt with. And if somebody turned around and said to her, oh, you know, you need to heal your public speaking issues, she'll be like, what public speaking issues? But then all of a sudden, when we start working on the spiders, we get down to this memory of being a child and being ridiculed in front of an audience, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, there's an aha moment. So the fear of spiders was there, but it was a big enough issue today for her to do something about it. And then that allowed us to get down to what the real issue was. And so we cleared both. But the what next is really important. Once you've healed your body, then what? Once you've made your millions, then what? Once you've got your divine life partner, then what? It's about the next step. That is really important. So you ready to play? Okay. So if you just close your eyes and visualize a ball of light coming up from the center of the earth, coming up through the soles of your feet. Feel it coming up through your legs, through your waist, through all your chakra centers, lining them up, cleansing them, just instantly, quickly coming up. See that ball of light coming up out of the top of your crown, the top of your head, and see yourself in that ball of light. Take a moment to notice what color it is. What does it feel like? And then just seeing yourself in that ball of light, moving straight up, past the universe. And as you go past the universe, you'll come up into a white light. Then another, and another. In fact, there are many white lights. Keep going. In between the white lights, you may see a little bit of darkness, but that's just a layer before the next light. Just allow yourself to continue moving up through all those white lights. And then you'll come up into a really bright white light. And as you move through that really bright white light, you'll come into a thick, watery-like substance. It's almost like jelly. It has all the colors of the rainbow in it. It has different shapes. This is the laws of the universe. And as you move through that jelly, you'll come up into a pearl iridescent white light. It's a sparkly white light. You may feel tingles through your body. But allow yourself to become that white light. Feel every cell in your body one with that pure, unconditional love. Okay, so now we're going to send you and everybody else unconditional love. So this is the way we do it. We make a command. Creator, it is commanded to fill every cell of my body, my family's body, everybody else here in this room and their families' bodies. And anybody else that we're aware of that can do with an unconditional love healing at this time. Fill every cell of our bodies with unconditional love. Thank you, it is done, it is done, it is done. So just allow yourself now to witness and get a sense of that unconditional love coming down and filling every cell of your body and everybody else's bodies that we mentioned. Okay, and now we're going to do one more exercise. We're actually going to send unconditional love to you as a baby in the womb. So while you were in the womb, any negativity, any negative energy that was there, any toxins from the environment are going to be released. So if you just see yourself instantly going back into that pearl iridescent white light. Now we make the command, Creator, it is commanded to send love to me as a baby in the womb. Thank you, it is done, it is done, it is done. So now if you just visualize yourself as a baby inside the womb and see unconditional love coming in and filling that womb, and any negativity, any toxins that are inside that womb are just being released, sent to the Creator's light. And watch that womb being filled with unconditional love. Okay, so now if you just take your awareness back up into that pearl iridescent white light, just feel yourself instantly getting there. We'll do our manifestation now. So if you think about maybe a few things that you would like to achieve in the next month, So maybe in the area of finances, relationships, health, spirituality, career and work, community, things that you would like to give back with. So just allow yourself to get an image of all those things. Okay, and so now we make the command, Creator, it is commanded that I have this, and state what your manifestation is. Get yourself that image in your mind of what it is that you're creating. In my life right now, thank you, it is done, it is done, it is done. So now visualize your life as a giant bubble and yourself as a giant taking a handful of that pearl iridescent white love and bringing it down into that ball of light, which is your life. And see that energy begin spinning, stirring that energy. And as you stir that energy, you'll see your manifestation begin to materialize into your life right now. See it, feel it, know that it's yours. Okay, now just take your awareness back up into that pearl iridescent white light. Feel every cell in your body one with that pure unconditional love, that energy of all that is. Take a deep breath in, open your eyes. Is that cool?
It seems like the room's got light.
Yeah.
You'll be amazed how powerful that process is. So this is really powerful because what it does is allows you to reprogram your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is what is determining your life. And it's that simple. It's just going through identifying what it is that is holding the situations in place, that is holding your belief in lack in certain areas of your life in place. And when you identify what that is, changing it is simple. And that is the key, because we're one with all that is. Quantum physics is showing us, is proving it all the time. You know, one of the really amazing things that I got from Bruce Lipton years ago, I was having a chat with him, and he said to me, he said, look, you know, one of the things that I, as a scientist, wanted to prove was that God did not exist, that you could prove everything scientifically, and because he's a cell biologist. And he said the deeper he went into his work, the more he began to realize that you could not deny that there was a greater consciousness. He calls it a collective consciousness. Other people call it God, and whatever you choose to call it is great. Whatever works for you. But that was one of the things that he said. he wanted to prove that God did not exist, and the deeper he got into it, the more he couldn't deny that there was some sort of greater energy that makes up the universe. And so that's a really powerful thing that shows us, like, this guy's an amazing man. He's on the cutting edge of, you know, creating new thinking and understanding our belief systems and how we work. Theta healing is a powerful tool that allows you to change those unconscious belief systems. It allows you to create new rules for yourself. I haven't found anything that comes close to it as quickly as theta healing works. It is really powerful. So let me tell you a little bit about what's happening with theta healing around the world. This is a book, and it's in Japanese, so if any of you can read Japanese, then welcome to have a look at this. But this book is written by a neurosurgeon, a Japanese neurosurgeon, and he talks about how theta healing and conventional medicine can work together. Right? He was actually operating theta healing in 2 hospital clinics in Japan. Right? In India, they're actually working with school teachers to actually teach the school teachers how to do theta so that they can help the children. It is really powerful. There are amazing things happening all over the world, and this is spreading really quickly. It's really powerful. And the only reason why it's spreading so quickly is because it works. And that's the key. If something works, there are benefits that people find out about. Right? The reason I'm standing here, I'm alive because of this technique. 11 years ago, I was in the building industry. I got sick because I went and saw a chiropractor who broke 2 ribs and a vertebrae. The vertebrae ended up getting infected, and then all of a sudden I was on, you know, I was sent home by the doctors to die. They said, you know what, he's going to go home and hope for the best. It's not really a pleasant thing to hear. And then all of a sudden I've transformed my life. And so I started learning all about it. Today, I travel the world. I've designed my own class. It's been approved as a theta healing elective. I travel all over the world teaching these classes. I just got back from overseas, but I taught in Switzerland and then taught in Spain. Came home for one night, took the family with me to New Zealand. I went and taught in New Zealand. We had a holiday over there. And I got back, it was a week and a half ago. And then on the 7th of November, I fly out to Brazil. I don't. On the 7th of November, I fly out to the UK. So I teach in the UK, then I teach in Brazil. It's not because I'm awesome. It's because I'm creating my life by design. And that ability is there for every single one of us. We can create anything that you choose to, but it's about you having the guts to believe in it and having something that can support you. Having a system in place that can help you get where you want to go. And that's what this does. This is just a tool. This tool will help you create anything that you choose to in your life. But ultimately, the most powerful tool is you. You're the one that will create anything that you choose to. But if you're getting stuck here and your subconscious beliefs are always holding you back and you're not allowing yourself to move beyond them, it doesn't matter how hard you try. It just feels like your wheels are spinning and you're not moving forward. This is a tool that works. On top of that, we have a support system. We run monthly practice nights here. So allowing people to get together and practice the technique to work with each other. You can email us, you can call us. There is a support system. I know what it's like. When I first started doing this work here in Australia, there weren't many people around doing it. And so I've made sure that we've got a support system. I've made sure we've got a network where we've got people that come together. Like every year we'll do like a picnic for theta healers and stuff like that. One of the things that we do is spiritual movie nights where it doesn't matter who you are or whether you're into theta healing or not. You can come and watch spiritual movies, and it's by donation, and we donate money to charities. Do you have a support network that can help you move forward in your life? One of the biggest things that I've seen, like, whether it's conventional business or spiritual work, is people not having a support network to help them. Because I don't care who you are, you get negative. If you don't have negative thoughts, I think there's something wrong with you. Everybody gets negative thoughts. It's normal. But it's about having people around you that can help you through it when those negative thoughts do come up. It's having the people that you can call on. And that's what's important. That's what we provide. Do you have that? And the other thing I want you to ask yourself is, what if it just works? What if it works for you? I don't know, and I've been there before. There's so many people out there that think, you know what, I've tried everything and nothing works. But what if it does? And that's where you got to ask yourself, if you could change your life right now, if you could take positive steps forward to create the life of your dreams, is it worth it? What's holding you back? And so this is a technique that we teach. We teach you how to work on yourself. So accessing the theta brainwave, teach you how to do it, building your confidence in doing that for yourself. Teach you how to change beliefs and how to teach feelings. Teach you how to identify which beliefs are holding it all in place. There's processes that we go through with that. We also do exercises to enhance your intuition. Things like angel readings, future readings, so they're a bit of fun. There's a lot of practical in the course, but there's also a lot of theory as well. So it's a 3-day class. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's the 4th to the 6th of November. It's an amazing class. One of the most precious things for me in my life is seeing people in a basic class after a couple of days when they get this awareness moment of, wow, I can actually change my life. I can be empowered in my life. That is one of the most precious things for me. That's part of my what's next. Because when I was younger, I was very shallow. And one of the things for me was about creating success so that I could just sit at home and do nothing. I just wanted to watch Foxtel and watch sports and stuff like that all day. The more success I've created in my life, the more I've realized it's got nothing to do with me. It's about a bigger plan. It's about making a difference in other people's lives. 11 years ago, I nearly died, and the reason why I nearly died is because I was going nowhere. My purpose was there in front of me, and the universe said, you know what, champ, if you're not going to stop and take notice, we'll make you stop and take notice. And I had an opportunity to check out. I had an opportunity to go. But all of a sudden, I saw something that allowed me to awaken again. And what I saw was a person in a hospital bed diagonally opposite me get a results from his heart tests. And the doctors came back and they told him, we need to give you a pacemaker. And he turned around and started swearing at the nurses, started swearing at the doctors. His wife's bawling her eyes crying. He's out of bed, he's getting dressed, and he's discharging himself from hospital. And he turned and I remember in that moment sitting on my hospital bed, and look, at this time I didn't know if I was going to live or die. But I remember in that moment looking at that man thinking, you know what, God, if there is something out there that can help people, show me what it is. And all of a sudden I see, well, not long after that I find this, and then all of a sudden I start teaching it, and it's changed my life and it's changed so many people's lives that I've come into contact with. But that's the what's next. It's got nothing to do with me, so all of a sudden staying at home watching Foxtel doesn't really do it for me anymore. But the thing is you're here for greatness. Don't sell yourself short anymore. There is so much more that you can achieve. There is so much more that you can create, but it's just about allowing your mind to expand. We've been conditioned, we've been programmed for limited success, for limited awareness. Enough. It's time to expand beyond that. But it's about allowing yourself to dream. And the only way that's going to happen, if you have something that's going to allow you to be confident in your ability to create change and your confidence in your ability to be empowered in your life. So I invite you to join us next weekend, not this coming weekend, the following Friday, Saturday, Sunday for the 3-day workshop. It is a certified workshop, so if you are a practitioner, it's another tool that you can use. You can say that you're a certified theta healer. The cost of the course is $595. If you're interested in registering tonight, the deposit is $195. If you pay that tonight, you'll get a copy of my meditation CD. It's $30 value. It's a really powerful meditation. So it's a visualization, it's a meditation. It's a healing as well. We do healing through it as well. And it's also a manifesting CD. So you get that as a gift, and you'll also get a copy of Vienna's book, which is part of the course. You get that as part of the book as well, the Theta Healing book, so you can read that in advance. So if you're interested in registering tonight, you'll get those. In front of you, you've got those forms. The second page is a feedback form. If all of you could fill that out, just so that we can improve these evenings. And if you're interested in registering, the third page is a registration form. So if you fill that out and go and see Teresa at the back of the room, she'll be able to help you with that. If you've got any questions, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. But I'd really like to thank you for this opportunity to share this information with you and give you an idea of how this works and what it's about. But most importantly, I want you to take home the idea that you can create so much more than what you're doing right now. So thank you again for your time this evening, and I look forward to seeing you all next weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, so we do payment plans as well if anyone's got an issue with that, so we can make it really easy for you to attend. So any of those sorts of questions, if you come and ask myself or ask Teresa, we'll be happy to help you out. So thank you.
So do they have two questions? One is, have you looked at Psyche?
Sorry?
Have you looked at Psyche?